Okay, folks, I want to talk about what JD Vance said about Simone Biles after she withdrew from the 2020 Olympics. You may remember, Simone chose to drop out because she was experiencing a condition that happens to gymnasts, where they lose spatial awareness of their body in the air as they're flipping and spinning and ultimately hurtling toward the ground. Something I think we can all agree JD Lashalicious has no experience with whatsoever. Well, back then, JD Vance told the Fox viewing audience that he thought it was weird that people were applauding Simone's decision to take care of herself and not compete. He said, "What I find so weird about this, and it reflects on the media more than it does on Simone Biles, is that we've tried to turn a very tragic moment, Simone Biles quitting the Olympic team, into this act of heroism. And I think it reflects pretty poorly on our sort of therapeutic society that we try to praise people not for moments of strength, not for moments of heroism, but for their weakest moments. A normal response in this moment would be to say, it's just a shame that she's going through this. It's just a shame that she quit. But instead, what our press has done, I think, is turn this into this weird therapeutic moment. Let's praise her for doing this. And I think that's really where the problem herein lies." Whew, that is a doozy, isn't it? All wrapped up with a herein lies. Well, let's break it down. First of all, I think it's clear that calling the greatest gymnast of all time weak, not deserving of being seen as a hero, and quitter is at best obnoxious and at worst far more insidious. And let's not overlook the fact that J to the D used the ultimate religious trigger word, i.e. shame, 2 times, and he seamlessly attached the word weird to therapy. Remember, folks, JD went to Yale, where only the best shit stirrers go to hone their shit stirring. JD knows what shit he stirs. Okay, first things first. Simone is obviously not a quitter for taking care of herself and knowing the dangers of her sport. There is no shame in not wanting to have a catastrophic career-ending accident in front of the whole world. Simone is absolutely a shero and a strong person for modeling being a human instead of a machine, especially in a world that clearly has way too many inhuman beings like JD Vance. And of course, there is nothing weird about therapy or therapeutic anything. Now, obviously, JD's statement has some basic misogyny in the expectation for a woman to push through, even if it kills her. And there's the underlying implication that only the woke libs would see Simone's rational behavior as heroic. But I think it's the denigration of therapy that's the tell. I think herein lies JD's problem. This is the classic thinking of a man who's afraid of therapy. JD needed to make mental health care and compassion for mental health challenges wrong, because JD will never be brave enough to face his own shit. And let's be honest, if you've read Hillbilly Elegy, then you know Lashalicious has some shit to face. His childhood was riddled with the kind of shit that only therapy can heal, in large part because therapy doesn't run on shame. You know, like the church does. If JD was a bigger man, he'd get himself some therapy and look at why he married a brown person if he was one day going to treat brown people like animals, or why he used to be very chummy with a trans friend only to later decide trans people are so intolerable, or why his book was chock full of resentment for all the people he grew up with, the same people he still dislikes, but he's learned how to leverage his knowledge of how those people tick for power. It's a great plan as long as JD's buried issues don't catch up with him. JD is a small little man with a small little view. And wouldn't you know it, JD's view gives him credit for doing nothing. JD knows that shaming people who are healthy enough to take care of themselves gives the folks who aren't healthy enough to take care of themselves an excuse for never being brave enough to get healthy. To JD, Simone doesn't get to be a real person. She's an entertainer. She can't let the fans down, and if she does, well, there's no other honest way to see it as anything but a shame. A shame that Simone was so weak, she had to quit and go get some weird therapy. Well, JD, I hope you're having the day that you deserve. Yeah.